Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 3, playing as the Central Powers on Strategic Command World War I. And at the end of episode 2, we did kind of deal with most of the current turn, which is October 24th of 1914. I still have some of the West to deal with. I also want to talk a little more about the history behind World War I. Specifically, I wanted to talk today a little bit about Franz Joseph, who was the emperor of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. I'm not going to talk real detailed. There's a lot more to it than this. But basically, Austro-Hungarian Empire was a dual monarchy where he was simultaneously both the head of Austria and Hungary, and as well as a bunch of other states. There's something like more than a dozen different people groups, ethnicities within this. You've got the Austrians, the Hungarians, the Slavs, Croats, Czechs, Slovaks, there's just a lot of that. Romanians, Germans, Hitler was born in a part of what was then Austria. So, that kind of stuff's going on. Franz Joseph is the longest serving monarch in the world at the time. He's been on the throne of Austria-Hungary for 66 years. And he had been through a lot. Think about this. Franz Joseph had been the emperor of Austria going all the way back to the Mexican War, the Mexican-American War in 1848, I think it was. He was on the throne 12 years before Abraham Lincoln was elected. Franz Joseph had dealt with a lot in his time. His only son commits suicide with his teenage lover. Both of them had syphilis, as did Franz Joseph and his wife. He had given his wife syphilis. Then, the throne passes to his nephew, Franz Ferdinand, who was assassinated. Franz Joseph's own wife had been assassinated. She was stabbed, I think, in Geneva, Switzerland when she was like in her 50s or 60s. So just, a terrible situation all the way around. And he was a really melancholy guy who repeatedly talked about how he just wanted to die. And just for whatever reason, he couldn't seem to die. He just was one of those guys who just outlived so many of the people that he loved and cared about. So we're going to kind of get into some action. We'll talk more as we get along here. Somebody mentioned that there's a morale hit when you do this switch thing, so I want to be careful about that. We took out another French corps, so I'm kind of satisfied with that. I think we're going to actually go ahead and move into this spot if I can, because we've still got kind of a front line here. And the more I can move and take a little bit of territory here and there, the better, I think. We just have to look for those spots where I'm actually causing more casualties than I'm taking. I'm going to go ahead and swap these two guys here. Okay, yeah, you can see nothing good's going to come of that. So I'm going to go ahead and entrench these guys for now. Let's move this. I guess we can't move that headquarters up quite yet. I don't think there's really anywhere else that we want to attack. Oh, we could attack right there. Even with the entrenchments, we're seeing some success here. I don't know if we'll be able to take this guy out or not. Oh yeah, we can. Keep destroying these French corps. And that'll lead to continued success, I think. I don't know if I want to move up here. I think we're just going to kind of sit tight on that side. And I think we've done most of our movement over here already. All right, I think we're done with this turn. One more thing about Franz Joseph. He was actually also at one time the president of the German Confederation, and his grandfather was actually the last Holy Roman Emperor before that was dissolved during the Napoleonic Wars. So I'm just looking over a few other things here. Let's take a look at our purchase options and see if there's any, if there are any corps. There are a couple of German corps that I can repurchase to kind of get back in the queue. And I've got the points to get both of them, so let's go ahead and do that. I don't think we have any. Oh, we do have one Austro-Hungarian corps as well. And we're going to have to start thinking about the Ottomans, because they will get into this war at some point, and when they do, we want to make sure that we've got their units in the best place possible. And I'm not really sure what that is. I mean, should I put them on the border with Russia? to kind of open up another front with them? Should I move them in this way so they can help with Greece or Italy or Romania? I'm not sure. So let me know your thoughts about that. Any of you have played this through a little further that can give me some advice on those things? Absolutely would be helpful. So let's go ahead and look at the Ottomans for a minute, because I'm going to go ahead and we don't quite have enough to do anything else there. So they'll probably spend those points on their own. All right, let's go ahead and advance and see what happens. Von Spee defeats the Royal Navy at the Battle of Coronel. That was over in the Western Hemisphere. That's why we're not seeing that actually played out here. Yeah, we're going to have to go look at that blockade again and rush our subs up there a little further. Von Lettow-Vorbeck defeats the British in German East Africa. So these are things that are happening other places. Oh, progress in infantry warfare development all the way up to 53%. That's huge. So it seems like the Russians are pulling back. I don't know if they're just redeploying and moving things around, but a number of the units that were on the front lines, they appear to be pulling back. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. Hopefully very soon we'll start making some progress and we can finish off these guys. Hey, there we go. I always like it when it's a British destroyer that shows up and we get that surprise on him. Oh, he's hitting me with a bunch of light cruisers now. We've got a couple of battleships here, so... Oh, boy. Dang. Coming at me with all kinds of light cruisers. There's 4 of them right there. 5 of them. Good night. We're going to have to bring some additional help over here to deal with all of that. We've got a battleship down in port. There's a dreadnought. He's going to take out my battleship, I think. Yep, he did. Yeah, that's the problem with the British Navy, man. They're just so much bigger than me. There's just very little I can do about all of that. Oh, there's an aircraft carrier. Interesting. At least one of them hit a mine. That's by far the most activity we've seen out of the Royal Navy so far. At least where I could see. Alright, now the French are hitting my unit that I just moved up, and that may have turned out to be a mistake after all. Not may, it definitely was, because I lost that corps. Now the Russians are on the offensive now. They're going to take out that cavalry unit of mine. Dang. It's getting bloody on the front lines now. Yeah, we're going to have that guy surrounded. He's going to get taken out real easy at Lotz. Or votes. Somebody corrected me on the pronunciation of that. I know that Polish pronunciations are particularly tricky, and I apologize, as I'm sure there's no way I can do it justice and pronounce it properly. Alright, seems like that's pretty much the end of the turn. So, Anzac sets sail for Europe. UK sends naval units to deal with Von Spee. Entente naval units north of Scotland blockade imports. Our agents in Morocco believe that the tribes of the Rif are ready to rise against the French. Sure, why not? Admiral von Engenhall, their British tanker called the Glyndwr, that is interned at Danzig at the start of the war, could be converted into a seaplane carrier. Will cost us 100 MPPs at 50 MPPs a turn for 2 turns. Sure. All right, we're going to get a new U-boat. That'll be very helpful. We've got a new cruiser, which is also going to be very helpful, and some more artillery. Where can we throw that in that it's going to make a difference? I'm going to take it out here on the east. And let's get this extra Austro-Hungarian corps down here to help out with Serbia. Okay, So here we go. Let's take a look and see where we're at. I'd really like to take Sarajevo, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be possible right now. Man, we just... And why do I keep having that? There we go. Finally. Okay. Let's see if we can move in behind these guys. Yeah, it's not really any better, but Serbia is one of those situations where I'm just going to have to attack even if the numbers are even on either side, because I feel like he doesn't really have the capacity to wear me down the way that I can him. So we'll try to keep that going. Alright, so we've still got this German ship here. I'm going to move them out of the way. Ugh, that didn't work out so well. We're trying to blockade this as long as we possibly can. I know I can't really hold long term there. Alright, this cavalry, I don't think they're going to be able to long term be able to stay on top of these guys, so I've got to try and figure out some other way to do this. We're just going to keep reinforcing. I can't even reinforce them. Alright, they've got entrenchment 2 now, though. We must have, I don't know if we leveled that up or not. Let's just keep reinforcing Königsberg. Nice. I'm actually going to reinforce these guys because I want this front line to stay pretty strong as I push forward down here. Oh yeah, let's take this guy out. So I don't know how artillery works exactly. I want to look real quick before we continue here. I want to look at the reports and see how things are going. So Russia and Germany, not a huge difference. I don't like how France is really building up now, because that just really gives them overwhelming numbers. Let's look at losses, though. Russia's lost 15 units, Germany 6. So we've lost a total of 10, but we've inflicted 18, 19, 20, 21... 22, 23. So 10 to 23 in terms of the losses that we've inflicted. Hopefully, over time, that builds up. We've taken out 10 Russian corps. We've lost a total of 6. So that's the main thing. Is it not just detachments, it's actual corps, which are the big, stronger units. Of course, naval situation, different story. We've actually destroyed a light cruiser and 2 destroyers of the British, along with a destroyer for the French. And so far we've lost an armored cruiser and a pre-dreadnought on our side. Alright, back to the Russian front. Dangerous place for that cavalry to be. I'm going to pull them back. I want to try and destroy this. I'm not going to be able to. Darn it. Okay. I don't think there's anywhere else we're going to be able to attack with any good success here. trying to consolidate this a little bit, make it easier to defend. Of course, we're opening the door to him to be able to flank me if I don't plug some more units up in there. I just don't really have enough on that side right now to do that. All right, onto the Western Front now. Doing some reinforcing over on this side. Just looking for opportunities. That's definitely an opportunity. Alright, I think we're tight. Yeah, nothing we can do there. What else do we have? It's really not worth it to make that attack. That one probably is. I think we'll sit tight now, just to keep that strength. I wish I could push through here a little better. I really wish I could get the Netherlands into the war a little sooner, and I could probably invest in doing that, but I just don't feel like it's probably all that worth it right now. I'm looking at the supply situation just because I want to see how all that plays out. It looks like we have enough supply at the moment in all these places. I just want to make sure that that stays that way. I don't think we've really advanced too far in the east to have to worry about that. We also have the ability to upgrade units, and we may want to consider doing that at some point if there are places where that's possible. A helpful little screen here is using these things. Like you can look at reinforceable units and it'll highlight in green the ones that can be reinforced, so that you know that you can do that. Although I think it's only showing what's possible to reinforce in general, not specific. So you know, if they've already expended all their points for the turn, they can't be reinforced. So it's a little misleading. Okay, up here to the north, let's see what we can do to, I want to get on that convoy line so we can start dealing with the supplies that are flowing to Russia. So we're sending some subs up that way. Actually, where's that going? Okay, that's coming from me. This is the one we need to be on, is the red one. And eventually we'll try to get over here and do the same with what's coming in through the North Channel. Let's get that destroyer out of here. Oh boy. I forgot all these guys were here. Darn it. Oh. Yikes. Oh, nice. Of course, carriers in this time period aren't what they were in World War II. I want to finish this dreadnought off if I can. Nice. Okay. All right. From, let's see, Chancellor Theobald von Bethmann Holweg. Oppenheim, the head of our intelligence bureau for the East, informs us the Indian nationalist Gadar party is plotting to drive the British from their country. Sure, yeah. We'll invest that little bit there. Italian nationalists claim Trento and Trieste as Italian territory. Well, we knew that was coming. That is that's a thing that we're going to have to deal with, and hopefully, if we can offer them those concessions, Italy toward the Central Powers. Excellent. Diplomatic success. That would be huge if we got Italy on our side, or even if we just kept them out of the war altogether. But if I can offer those territorial concessions, I will gladly do that. Austro-Hungary controls some territory that Italy very much believes should be hers, and it is part of Italy to this day. And that was kind of part of the issue that brought Italy in the war on the side of the Entente. Looks like we've got snow now. It is late November. And our Navy's just going to get wrecked by the Royal Navy. There's really no getting around that. The best thing I can hope for is that I continue to be able to sneak my subs past him. He's getting aggressive with his Navy. I wasn't expecting him to do that. Looks like we're having our own little battle of Jutland up here. Man, he just got so much of a Navy. All the more reason why our armies have to do their job. Because eventually the Navy's just going to squeeze me. Alright, so here come the French now. I did move my front line forward. It looked like a good opportunity to do that. So I moved 3 units up into this area here. I forgot to record that part. Looks like we're holding our own okay. Hopefully he doesn't sneak enough units in here to be able to bring that guy down all the way. Oh, it's going to be close, but it looks like we're going to just barely hang on there. I'm a little more concerned about what's happening on the Eastern Front right now. I've really got to start pushing this forward. I'm trying to just hold the line here. As much as I can while I push forward into Poland. It looks like we might be able to take Warsaw in the next couple of turns. It's going to make my job a lot easier if I can push the Russians back in the east. Of course, the tricky part remains having enough units to keep him from getting around my right flank over here. Here come the Serbians. I think that might be it for his attacks. The Royal Navy defeated von Spee at the Battle of the Falklands. And there's our aircraft carrier just showed up. A typhus epidemic breaks out in Serbia. I believe that is something that happened historically. So another fun fact. Emperor Wilhelm, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany was sailing, I think, off the coast of Norway when he received news of the assassination, and he returned to Germany, kind of dealt with a little of the diplomacy, and then he went back. He kind of didn't really feel like it was going to be that big a deal. See, Russia had always kind of backed down as being not ready for a war when all of this stuff was going down. So I think part of the thought process for the Austro-Hungarians and the Germans was that Russia really wouldn't do anything. They might talk, but they really weren't going to do a lot about the threats on Serbia, but they were definitely wrong about that. All right, where can we put this? unit here? Oh yeah, right over here for sure. This is the border right here, so this is kind of about as far as they can go. So if we plug them right there, hopefully that's going to help stem the tide there. So, all right, we're on to our next turn, December 19th of 1914. All right, let's start down here with the border with the Serbs. I'm actually going to try to hit these guys here. We've got to take Sarajevo. Man, there's just nowhere good to hit him. Oh, nice. Beautiful. So every little bit of progress helps. Anywhere we can do that. And like I said, I'm gonna keep hitting him even if it doesn't necessarily seem to make sense, where I'm losing more men in some cases. Just because we gotta try and keep pressing things. And I feel like, oh man, he didn't lose anybody in Sarajevo that time. Alright, there's nothing to go there, so this is just taking way longer than I'd like it to. Cavalry's not going to do much there. They're just kind of there to kind of keep defending for me. Why can't I reinforce that unit? I don't want to give up that territory to him, but I'm not sure I've got a choice at the moment. Because I can't move up into that location. There we go. That works. Nothing good can come from any of that. All right, let's continue to try and force the Russians back in the center. Mainly just trying to hold the line up here. I'm not really trying to force anybody back. But if I see opportunities, I'll definitely take them. Yeah, we're good there. All right, we're about to get our subs onto this for the first time. I'm not entirely sure how this works, except that I think as long as I've got them right here, they're going to interdict on that. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Here's the Royal Navy just wrecking me right now everywhere along this line. I want to try and get around these guys if I can. Ah, darn it. I'm not going to invest a lot of points in my Navy just because I feel like eventually he's going to wipe me out anyway. So there's really just, I'm probably delaying the inevitable, other than my subs. Okay, let's take a look at the Western Front. See if there's anywhere we're going to be able to push through. Also need to reinforce some of these guys. Oh, so close. So close to being able to take that guy out. I wonder. Yep. Perfect. That's actually huge because that allows me to move the line a little bit. Oh, that wasn't so good though. Let's go ahead and move this guy down there. Wasn't even thinking about the fact that he'd still have that. Oh, and I kind of feel like I want to pull this back, but here's a chance to take out another French corps, so I've got to do it. Beautiful. Yeah, we're just not able to move quite as much on the right flank as we seem to have more success over here on my left right now on that side. Man, Antwerp's going to be a tough nut to crack. I think we're just going to reinforce this guy and sit tight for now. All right, let's look at diplomacy. Bulgaria's up to 59%. Netherlands still at 25%. Sweden is at 20% toward us. Ottoman's still 34%. Italy has moved ever so slightly, but it's really just kind of sitting still at the moment. Man, I'd like to invest more there, but I don't want to waste my points either, so I don't know. I'll have to think about that. In the meantime, let's look at what we can do. Look at research. And we're getting a couple of turns away, hopefully, from making some research breakthroughs. I just wonder if I'm investing enough in that. I don't know how much I want to invest in that versus replacing units on the front lines. I feel like investing in research makes the units already on the front lines more effective, and therefore is probably a better use of my funds in some cases. I'm just so torn on this. I don't know. Industrial technology will increase the number of MPPs I get per turn. So maybe that's the way to go. What about the Hungarians? With them, I think I want to go ahead and purchase... Oh, I don't have any corps that are currently out of action, so in this case we just purchase another one and get them into the field. So maybe that'll work. Alright, we have a decision to make. Kaiser Franz Joseph, nationalist figures in Italy are calling for war against us unless we hand over. So this is what I was just talking about. The opportunity to hand Trento and Trieste to Italy. That would be huge. If we give these places, it would massively reduce their desire for war against us. So yes. Population's outraged. I don't care. I need to keep them out of war. The handover of Trento and Trieste encourages Romanian ambitions for Transylvania. So there's that area right there. Protest riots break out in Austro-Hungary. Whatever, that's fine. Morale plummets in the army. That kind of stinks. Volunteers from the USA join Serbia's fight for independence. Oh, come on, America. Stay out of it. Typhus epidemic continues to spread. Oh, wait till Spanish flu hits in a couple years. Entente raiders disrupt the Norway to Germany convoys. Entente naval units north of Scotland blockade imports to Germany. Fighting on the Western Front ceases on Christmas Day. It's the Christmas Day truce. Airship development, 71%. Infantry warfare up to 81%. Ooh, it's wintry now. All right, so my apologies. I realized about halfway through the last turn that my screen capture software was zoomed in on the recording. So you weren't seeing the full screen as I was seeing it. You were seeing like the top 2/3 on the top left corner. So if you were wondering why it looked so different than the first 2 episodes, that's why. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it because I've already recorded like a half hour of gameplay, and I've saved over the save game. Boy, we lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships that time. And of course, losing those territories to the Italians hurts the morale situation. But there you have disrupted UK to Russia convoys. Russia's losing. They lost 26 MPP that time. So that is helping. Austro-Hungarian national morale falls below 50%. That's not good. All right, so 25 MPPs a turn, and in return we will gain 50 national morale points per turn for the rest of the war. Yeah, let's definitely do that. Now we get a new dreadnought that can get wrecked by the Royal Navy. Another sub that we can try to get moving. Here we go. There's another unit. Boy, where do I want to put these guys? I still feel like I want to be able to stem the tide here a little bit. So I don't know. All right, let's finish up this turn, and then we'll... well, I'll do most of this turn, but I won't advance to the enemy's turn for this date. Man, there's not a lot of good options as far as attacking goes. Just can't seem to do anything to Sarajevo. It may be because of the weather that the attacks are going to be less successful now. It seems like that's probably the case. So we're mostly probably going to take this January 30th turn to reinforce a little bit, because it looks like really nowhere that I can get a good attack off. We'll look over here and see if there are any better options. There are some there, but this guy's so depleted that I would rather take this turn to do that. All right, let's push forward on the Russians. This is going to have to be a turn for this too. You can see we're almost straightening out this line now. We've pushed forward enough on the Russians. I feel like things are going well on the Eastern Front. I just don't know if I'm expected to be moving further than this. Am I not doing well enough, fast enough, I guess is the question. Maybe some of you can answer that for me. Didn't mean to zoom out that much. But you can see my goal was to get this line straightened out, and we've very nearly done that, and it seems like we've got the Russians being pushed back. I'd like to really, by the end of 1915, be out to maybe Kiev and beyond, but I don't know if that's really just too much to ask. Don't seem to be any good options over here right now. Seems like that's the case all along the line at this point. Man, that didn't work out so well. think we'll sit tight. All right, so I think we will wrap it up right here with all of that. Let's look at the diplomacy situation now. Italy's back to 0%, so we didn't push them any further toward my side. We just kept them from going further toward the Entente side. So let me know your thoughts about all of that. Use the comment section below, and we will come back and pick things up here at the end of January 1915 the next time around. Thanks for watching.